composer Janal Bechthold who influenced her, and she goes right to the source, John Williams, the man responsible for the soaring scores of Star Wars, Superman, and so much more. Asked about one of her favorite female composers.
Shirley Walker, definitely iconic.
This is Walker's stirring theme from the animated Superman series. But while the men she worked with went on to Oscar acclaim, her name is nowhere near as well known.
There's a lot of women who maybe don't work on the big studio films just because they're not given the opportunity.
Just take a look at last year. Of the top 250 films, only 6% hired women. Now, when I listen to music, I don't hear a gender. I just hear music. What is preventing women from getting those opportunities?
There's just an unconscious bias. I mean, for hundreds of years, when you think of all the great classical composers, who do you think of?
Right.
Bach, Beethoven, Mozart.
A lot of dudes. Narrow the focus to Canada, and the picture doesn't improve. A recent study from the Screen Composers Guild of Canada found women here earned 8 times less than men, while men were twice as likely to be hired full-time. And more than half of the women who participated in this study reported dealing with sexism and harassment. Bechthold says often it's men who either don't think she can handle the technical requirements or...
I've experienced also some just sort of blatant sexism stuff as well, where, you know, people want to have a meeting to talk about their film. And then halfway through the lunch, you realize that, oh, wait, this was actually a date.
So women are helping themselves. This is a celebration organized by the Alliance of Women Film Composers. The president was disappointed by the Oscar nominations, but not surprised.
It's not just a glass ceiling, it's kind of a cement ceiling.
She says much of the problem is the mostly male decision makers, producers, directors, and agents.
There's kind of a feeling of not being taken seriously. Like, oh, how did she get into this meeting and why is she here? It's almost felt with a little bit of a sneer, and it's a boys' club.
So the Alliance is creating their own club to support new voices.
Hello, come on in.
Canadian Carly Parody is one of those. In her London, England studio, she sketches out the sounds that accompany news shows on Netflix.
Recently I was on a BBC panel for a music festival, and there was a lot of females coming up to me to ask questions after. But 10 to 15 years ago, when I used to go to those conferences, I'd be the only female there.
And while the Oscars overlooked women this time, Parody says some coming attractions could change things.
Look at 2019, we've got 2 female composers working on big comic films, on Joker and Captain Marvel. And I think that's a really exciting thing. I think it'll take time.
Parody says having women composing for 2 of this year's most anticipated films sends a powerful message.
I'm not what you think I am.
Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.